Welcome to today's topic of technology and volunteering. My name is Ian, and today what we're going to talk about mainly, the focus is on technology, all right? And some of you are wondering, what is technology? What does that include? And we will slowly break it down, and let's see if we understand this topic. Today's agenda, I'll talk about what is technology. We'll talk about the digital platforms and the impact on volunteers. What are digital platforms? Don't worry, I'll explain that in a moment. We'll talk about remote and virtual volunteering experience and how that may impact you and what you may need to prepare. We'll also talk about collaboration and communication tools. Next, we'll talk about crowdsourcing and micro-volunteering. All these are very, very fancy words, but they're actually very easy to understand once you understand the idea of what technology is providing for us today. And the next sixth topic is about social media and online advocacy. Yeah, you can come on up, get closer to if you want. Seems like we have quite a number of people missing, so they will catch up on the recording. By the way, last week's recording is up on YouTube. We just posted that at 2:30. So if any of you missed the previous session on communication with seniors, you can go on to our YouTube channel and have a look. And at last, we'll talk about, just a little bit about fundraising and donation platforms. Before I go into today's topic, some of us were asking about what the next two sessions are about. So the next two sessions are optional. They will be at the same time from 4 o'clock probably to about 5 o'clock. It's about information sharing. It's about sharing of your experience. Don't worry, food and drinks are on me. So when you come, you can grab food and talk. Okay, so what is technology? All right, by definition, it is the practical application of knowledge in a particular area, such as medical technology. Another definition of that is technology refers to the methods, the systems, and the devices which are the result of scientific knowledge that are being used for particular purposes, practical purposes. So with that definition in mind, can someone in the group, we can take turns too, tell me what are some of the examples of technology that you are using today in your everyday life? Examples of technology. Maybe we'll have Susanna.
Zoom meeting.
Zoom meeting, very good. That's making full use of internet and the virtual technology. We do have some snacks over here, feel free. Anyone else?
Food delivery apps.
Food delivery apps. I love it. Everything's on your cell phone. Even Zoom is on your cell phone. Uber is on your cell phone. Everything about technology seems to revolve around this flexibility with your cell phone. Anyone else? You guys don't go outside of your cell phone much. Everything's about cell phone.
Google Maps.
Google Maps is another app. Interesting. Wow, what will we do without our phones, our cell phones? There are lots of technology. Even when you travel today, cars, bus, SkyTrain, these are all examples of technology.
Ian?
Yes? Oh, yeah, Josephine?
Yeah, what's up?
Come again?
What's up?
WhatsApp, okay. WhatsApp, cell phone app again. Technology, yes. Lately, the internet and the apps, the development of apps, that's been overtaking a lot of productivities compared to the other advances in technology. We all notice it because we use them so often, right? And that's good. That is easy for, most people to use. If you talk to some, for example, seniors, they may not be able to access apps as easily as the younger generation. There's a slight barrier there, but nonetheless, that's a good example of technology. Today, we're going to talk about digital platforms and the impact of volunteers. Okay, so what are digital platforms? Now, just in the theme of volunteering, when you want to volunteer, and there are tons of volunteers in the world who are able to volunteer. They want to volunteer for a particular cause, particular organization. They want to do it, but how can they find such opportunity? Well, online platforms and websites, they connect volunteers with organizations, right? These digital platforms, they allow individuals to find opportunities that are specific to them based on their interests, based on their skills. I'll give you some example here. In Richmond, we have a website, we have an organization called Richmond Cares, Richmond Gives, rcrg.org. That's a good example of an organization helping to connect volunteers with organizations that are in need of volunteers. We also have a website called govolunteer.ca for more general Vancouver-based experience. You can do that. And this entire, well, not the entire thing, but some of the slides was prepared for me by this exchange student from Germany. And she made use of a website called the Internet, who were able to connect her from Germany to us in Richmond. I mean, how cool is that? Everything's been arranged, so she comes here, there's food and lodging, and she can come here every day to volunteer for about 4 hours a week. So that's really amazing, especially when you are trying to just get familiarized with the local Canadian culture and you want to volunteer for a cause. That's exactly what she went to, a website that allows her to volunteer here locally. Now I'll do a quick demo. Some of you are not quite familiarized. Okay, if I want to volunteer, how do I find a volunteer opportunity? And I'll do a quick demo here on the screen. So let me just ask you before I go on, who uses a website or a digital platform to look for volunteer opportunities? Kaylee, which one do you use? I Can Help Richmond. Okay. Anyone else?
That's the one I use.
That's the one you use as well? Okay, thank you. All right, so let's go to RCRG's website just for an example and see what sort of things we can expect. Okay, so the next step I want to talk about is remote and virtual volunteering. Remote and virtual volunteering allows individuals to contribute their skills and time from anywhere in the world. Okay, this increased quite a bit during the pandemic. A lot of people had to stay home and they have to use Zoom, as suggested by Susanna. 56% of non-profit Canadian non-profit organizations offer virtual volunteering opportunities since the pandemic. That's over half of them. And this allows us, the inclusion for people limited by geography, physical ability, or work arrangement. But does that mean if you just have a laptop, you can start volunteering remotely? Is that how it goes? We'll explore that question in a bit. Remote and virtual volunteering also allows the flexibility, right? So there's something called like on and off volunteering. This week I'm not available, next week I can, and then you can just hop on to Zoom and teach the class, for example. And then there are virtual involvement too, like online volunteering training. There's remote admin support. There's also different marketing campaigns that you can take up online. For us, for example, I remember I have a volunteer who was not here physically in Canada, but I've made arrangement with him so that he can edit some of our online concert videos. So what we ended up doing is I took the raw footages of the online concert, I shared that with him online, and he edits it, and then he sent it back to me. And everything was done remotely. I never even saw him. right? So that's the age that we're in. Everything is based on files. I send you a file, you work on it, done. Text Clinic is another example here from RCD that we have volunteers working remotely to work on some of the income tax files for our participants and clients. All right, so are there drawbacks? It seems like everything sounds so good so far, right? For remote and virtual experience, virtual volunteering. Well, the downside is that there's less personal interaction. So I have volunteers who volunteer for the entire year through Zoom. They never came to the center, right? And then when they are here, they feel a bit lost because they never interacted with people directly online. Inside this room. And then everything was based on a camera when they're at home, but when they're here talking with the actual person, it's a little bit different. So that's where the personal interaction is lacking. But for example, if you are interested in learning how the cloud thing actually works, how I can work from home and help RCD, this is a good opportunity to learn, right? Especially if down the road you're looking for employment similar to that, this is a great way for you to get in and earn that experience. I just want to add that smaller organizations, that's one of the downside about remote and virtual opportunities, is that smaller organizations may struggle to adapt to this kind of technology because they don't have the extra funding to do so. Back then we were very fortunate because of a lot of fundings were available for us to upgrade this and that, and we were able to have laptops, cameras, headsets and so on, but they come at an extra cost and they're not cheap. So let me ask you, what do you need for a virtual volunteer opportunity if you want to do it successfully? Anybody? If you want to volunteer at home, what do you need?
Somebody to set up or help me to set up my laptop.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I can bring it to center, then you show me how I can access online or some information I do need to extract it from your system.
Okay, so
help.
like a specific program
Yeah.
perhaps the organization is using? Okay,
Yeah.
very good. Anything else? If you're teaching a class, like we have volunteers teaching our exercise class a couple years back because of the pandemic. What do you think they need? I will have a TV here, but on their end they're teaching. What do they actually need? Well, first of all, don't take it for granted. Computer you need for virtual or remote volunteering. So you need either a computer, a tablet, or even a cell phone. You need a camera, because without a camera, how can you teach, right? You won't be able to show your face and interact with your participants. So you need a working camera. And on top of that, you need a microphone, because not all computers, they have good microphones, and if you want to teach a class and people kept saying, I can't hear you, you're very muffled, or you're muted, it becomes a barrier, right? So it won't add to your volunteer experience. You need proper lighting. In order for you to teach certain topics, you need people to see you. They need to remember who you are, what you're saying, and then remember with online opportunities, some of our clients, for example, they want to see your mouth saying these words. If you have poor lighting, they can't see it and they won't understand. But it's a very good technology we have added to our Zoom system is the captioning system. So captioning is probably 80% right. So sometimes some of the words just doesn't come out correct. But still, caption is automated. As you say these words, these English words comes out at the bottom. It's a very, very effective technology for people with some kind of barriers. You need the software as suggested by Susanna, and we also need internet connection. Without internet connection, you really can't volunteer online, right? Whether you're sending a file back to your organization, or you're conducting a class through Zoom, all these will require internet connection, and not just any connection. You need a decent speed connection too. Otherwise, you'll be freezing a lot. Your video quality may buffer a lot. So that's something to take in mind. And last but not least, you need knowledge in working in specific software, right? For example, Tax Clinic, I have no idea what they do because that's not something that I do every day. But for the volunteers, they're very familiar with their tax software, and they're able to do the work remotely. Next topic I want to talk about is collaboration and communication tools. Now, technology is great, but you need to learn how to use these technology in order for you to volunteer effectively or do your work effectively. So there are collaboration and communication tools that we make use of here at RCD, for example. And what do they cover? Well, document and file sharing, as I mentioned before, is a huge thing. Like back then, can you even remember the days where we have disks? No, not USB flash drive. We're talking about like floppy disk. Everybody's offline, and in order for me to send a file over to a volunteer, I have to put in a disk, call this volunteer up, have this volunteer come and pick up the disk, and they can work on it. Or they just have to come into the center to work on it. Maybe that's the easier way. But nowadays, it's all about file sharing. Everything is online. Nobody needs to come into RCD if they are to work on files, only files. But in order to work with people, you still have to be here. What about virtual meetings and with shared screens? You can now conduct the entire class with shared screens, all based on certain platforms. Real-time collaboration, you can draw together, you can work on an essay together, work on this report together. Instant messaging. If I have a problem, I message Tom, hey Tom, can you come help me? I don't even need to walk over to him anymore. Just a message will do, like a quick WhatsApp message. So I have some examples of collab and communication tools on the right. So Slack, Google Workspace, we use Google Workspace a lot. Microsoft Teams is popular in other organizations. We use Zoom. Some other organizations will use WebEx, and here we also use WhatsApp a lot. The next very interesting topic is crowdsourcing and micro-volunteering. All right, so first, crowdsourcing is when you involve a large group of people to contribute to a common goal. All right, so you have a lot of people working on the same project. So how is this possible? Well, it's because of these digital platforms that are available to us that we can access this app all at once in the entire world, as long as you have that app. Okay, what does this do? Well, it lowers the cost, it improves the speed, and improves the quality of your project. I'll give you some examples in a bit. And then there are also these opportunities called micro-volunteering. They're short-term commitment, really short projects. They're project-based. And then there's no need for training. Or it doesn't require ongoing commitment. And it's usually the micro-volunteers, they find it rewarding just to see immediate results of their work. All right. So micro-volunteers, don't expect them to volunteer for months. Maybe a short project, a couple of weeks, and then they're gone. And then if they're interested, they may come back again. How is that even possible, right? All this is made available to you by the different digital platforms. I want to show you one that's very interesting called Be My Eyes. Anyone heard of that? Be My Eyes? Okay. I'll give you a quick a video intro of what they do. It's an app to help people see. Have a listen.
You might wonder how blind people deal with everyday challenges. Well, normally the answer is simple. We're not that different from you. We play music. We go to school. We go to work. You get the picture. But sometimes the simplest things can be difficult. and we need a pair of eyes.
Connect to.
That's where you come in.
Establishing video connection.
Through your smartphone, Be My Eyes connects the blind with sighted people through a live video connection. Simply choose if you need help or want to help by the click of a button.
That's a nice picture of you and your family, Kelly. Is it for a present? Yes, it's a photo from my parents.
You can help just by installing the Be My Eyes app,
Correct image.
and we'll notify you when someone needs your help. And if you're in the middle of something, don't worry. Someone else will step in.
That milk is way too old.
So, would you care to be my eyes?
Pretty interesting, right? The way that they are making use of crowdsourcing as a way for the entire world to help a particular population, such as people with vision loss, right? All of a sudden you get a message, oh, so and so needed help with this particular thing that they're looking at, and then you can be their eyes. I think it's a great way. In the future, I think this is the future. You'll see a lot more of these type of endeavors where they make use of crowdsourcing. It could be for vision, it can be for sound, it can be for anything, right? As long as there's internet connection, you're able to connect to help. That's mainly what it comes down to. All right, micro-volunteering here, I found an example called Zooniverse. Anyone heard of that? Zooniverse? Okay, so this one is not about people with disability. It's just projects, ongoing projects, small projects that you can jump in and out of. Okay, I will show you what this is about. Okay, so a lot of research are now done through a camera where they place in the wild, or they're just looking in space where they keep observing these different things. The camera setup part is the easy part. The time that you need for someone to observe the different things that's going on in the camera, that's a different story. So with Zooniverse, they actually have camera set up so that volunteers can go on and just observe different oddities within wildlife. If they're researching about owls or eagles or whatever, they look at the camera, they record whatever is important, and then they type a report and share this with the project admins, right? So this is, and you can get involved with that for a couple of weeks, then you jump up. The next person who's interested in this topic can jump right in. So these are what we call the micro-volunteering. So it can be related to wildlife, it can be related to observing the sky, or just about anything. These platforms are only possible through internet connection and people coming together, right? Without any of these parts, these projects won't be possible.
So they don't have the recruiting process then?
Online.
Just,
Yeah.
but you still need to register?
Yeah, so basically, let's look at this, all right? So if there are projects, if you're interested in it, I think you need to still talk to an admin and say, I'm interested, and then they give you access to certain video footages, and then you can look at it for hours, right? And there's no training involved, right? So basically, they just said, okay, this 4-hour clip, review it, and go from there, right? So it's quite interesting how opportunities like this for volunteer are set up. If you're interested, Zooniverse, have a look. Okay, we probably won't go till 5:30 today. My presentation is somewhat short. I only have a few more slides, but I welcome questions at the end. The next topic I want to talk about is social media and online advocacy. Okay, so for social media, everybody knows social media. If you have Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all these are examples of social media. But what it does is that it spreads information. You can gain support from this type of online endeavors. And it raised awareness for certain, like raise brand awareness, recruit new volunteers and increase donation and develop partnerships, right? So these are all online endeavors. And we can interactive content allows audience to become involved in your project. Example, our YouTube channel is an example of that. And then we can always have feedback very easily. So social media allows us to reach more people. If it's not for the pandemic, we wouldn't have a YouTube page, and we wouldn't explore different ways of fundraising, spreading awareness, and recruiting people, right? With the concept of social media, Facebook, Twitter, that Ayla worked on, it allows us to spread the message to those who are interested. And I want to point out that 50 years ago, you probably won't see this as a volunteer opportunity. And nowadays, they're recruiting volunteers to just focus on social media. I'm constantly looking for people who can edit videos, and then we can post it on our YouTube page. I mean, I can take raw footages from this camera, but it still requires some editing in order to be presentable. The more presentable your video is, the more views you'll get, and more people will be interested in your organization. And also for the volunteers, that's a great way to contribute and to earn experience. Online advocacy is when we use mass media to advance our initiatives. We can make issues public, we can spread awareness, educate, and encourage people. We can bring issues to government's attention and mobilize people around the world. And this is all making use on the internet in general. And I will show you our YouTube page. You guys should be familiar with our YouTube channel. And for those who are still who didn't attend certain workshops, you can catch up on these. I put them all here. So with the date and once you click onto it, there's a topic in the description as well. So make sure you go in and check it out if you missed a session. So this here was done in 2020, right? That's, during the pandemic. We started this because we felt that we needed a way to connect with our participants. They couldn't come in because of the health regulation, right? So we have to make things available for them so they can access from home, and that's what we've done. So from 2020 and onwards, we never stopped producing videos. Whether they're small videos, big videos, long videos, fun videos, educational videos, we're doing it. And then this is a great way to connect with people and a great way to connect to other organizations as well. And you can see it on my screen here. I try to link up as many partners as I can. So City of Richmond, definitely, Disability Foundation, CILT Toronto, and then Take a Pain Check is one of the newer channels that have linked. So this is a great way for people who are looking for information to get information. Just from your YouTube channel, they can visit other channels. Okay, fundraising and donation platform is the last, I believe this is the last topic that I'll talk about. So through technology, we now have online fundraising platform. Who's heard of GoFundMe? GoFundMe, everybody's heard of it? Yes, okay. So it is a very, very impressive way to raise funds. Back then, our typical way to raise funds is host our gala, sell tickets, have people come, and at the end of this whole night, we raise about $5,000, something like that, right? Could be more. But with GoFundMe, you're not just fundraising locally. You're drawing funds from all over the world. You have to market this campaign effectively. If nobody clicks on your campaign, it won't generate any funds. Right? So if somehow your campaign was on the news or something similar, wow, all of a sudden this picks up, or you're very successful on social media, people will click on the link and people know about what you're trying to do and trying to make a difference in the community. Well, all of a sudden people are clicking and donating all over the world. In a way, our online concert was done in a similar way. We weren't just fundraising locally, but we started passing out our links of the online concert to friends of family, friends of friends, and so on. We have people donating from all over the world. And all of a sudden, it's not just Richmond. It's not just locally in this city. We have people from all over the world donating. And that was, let's say, more than $5,000 in a night. Just a quick conclusion. Technology is changing how you're able to volunteer at a global level. You no longer need to just volunteer locally, right? You can volunteer across the world. You need to find the right platform and you will be able to match up with the organization that matches your skills or basically match your goals. There are new ways to connect and there are new ways to contribute. And there are, most importantly for most of the volunteers here, there are new ways to learn. Volunteering is a great way to gain that experience as well as learning about the technologies that different organizations are using. If you're not quite ready to join the workforce as an employment, volunteer and find out in different organizations, not just RCD, right? Just volunteer in different organizations so that you know what kind of things may be a requirement for you when you land a job. You don't want to start employment and say if the first thing that you need to do is host a Zoom meeting, but you have no idea of how to use Zoom, right? That's not something that you want. But by volunteering, oh yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I've been doing this for RCD. I can host a Zoom meeting. I can share a screen. I can fix your mics and fix your cameras, that kind of thing. So you get a little heads up before you go into the workforce. And also, it empowers you to make a positive impact on your community and beyond. Just so you know, this entire presentation has been done by technology. It was done by ChatGPT. You guys heard of ChatGPT? Hold on, let me...
So you asked ChatGPT to
Yep.
comment on the topic? Oh, and then it came up?
I asked, how is technology changing volunteering?
But did they
It gave me the exact same answer.
Oh,
No, I based my response on them.
oh my goodness.
This entire presentation's been
But they
based
didn't
on...
mention RCD,
Of course
Facebook,
not.
right?
No. I add those parts in. But they gave me the general topics on what to work on. So this is how powerful technology is.
Yeah.